Hi, welcome to segment 5 of our 6-segment soul series. So far, we've talked about past life trauma, early childhood emotional trauma, soul imprints and soul fragments, karma and soul patterns, and today we're talking about relationships with self and others. If you've missed any of these episodes, you can catch them right here on this channel. So, talking about relationships with self and others, relationships are the most important part of our physical journey. How we relate to ourselves and how we relate to others has everything to do with how we feel about this journey, how we hold ourselves in our energetic field, in the body, on the physical journey. For instance, if you're having a toxic relationship with someone, whether it's a parent-child thing, an employee-boss thing, a friendship, or just even with a part of yourself, what's happening is somewhere there is some kind of energetic imbalance. There's some kind of fear about the journey. And what happens is, because we forget that once we're in that physical body, that we are these soul beings that cannot die. We just are energy. We live forever. We're divine consciousness. We don't realize that once we get into the body and into the physical experience. And then what happens is we start living through survival consciousness, and we forget about the divine consciousness that we actually are. When we live through survival consciousness, we're constantly worried about how acceptable, how significant, and how valuable we are in this physical world. We depend on others to validate our existence, our significance, to validate if we're lovable enough to not be rejected. So in childhood, we look to our parents for that validation. In adulthood, we look through it in our relationships. So that might mean we're checking with our friends to see how they treat us. And if they're not treating us with kindness, love, respect, and some kind of validation for who we are, we start to question our own value, which means now the relationship with ourselves starts to deteriorate because we've depended so much on others to let us know if we are acceptable in this world. So because of that dependence, we allow everything outside of us to create our value in this world. And then we relate to ourselves in a way that they've related to us. So beginning with childhood, if we felt rejected, criticized, unlovable by a parent, we are going to be looking for some kind of validation through our adult relationships to confirm that we will be okay. So we're looking for someone in our adult relationship to show us that we're valuable, significant, and worthy of the world. And the way we do that is to try to make ourselves appear valuable and worthy, whether we're doing that through some kind of knowledge, collecting certifications, collecting college degrees, dressing as if we have money, which makes us believe we're significant, having the large home, anything we can do to compensate for those feelings of emptiness, those feelings of something's missing within us. And we have to compensate for that so that the outside world will see us as valuable. So we are really relating to people, to ourselves, and to others on a vibrational level. Do you find me valuable? And if you do, I can feel good about myself, which means my vibration will be higher, which means I will be in a happier, more positive place. If your attitude toward me is of a negative energy, I'm going to question my own value. So if I was raised by parents who criticized, or parents who told me I should be ashamed of myself, or told me that I'm a disappointment, or even if they didn't tell me that, but I perceived that that's how I'm showing up, because it is all about perception, I could be carrying a low vibrational energy into my adulthood. Now I'm looking for somebody outside of me to help me raise that vibration so I can get out of that feeling of unworthiness. But what happens is, because I'm carrying a low vibrational energy, I attract that same energy into my life, or my energetic body seeks it out in the world because it's a vibrational match. So a part of me wants to confirm how I feel about myself. Another part of me wants to get out of that feeling, which means our relationships with ourselves and others are always remaining in some kind of conflict. And that's because we're forgetting about our true divine consciousness and our true value of who we are in this world. Because we don't realize that, we've depended so much on others, and that's not our fault. The thing is, when we come into this world, we have to depend on others. We don't know anything about the world or about ourselves. We're growing up, we're learning, we're experiencing. So if big people are telling little people with some kind of authority over us that we should be ashamed, or we didn't do something right, or we could have done something better, it's not that they're trying to hurt us, but the problem is we're so sensitive, we begin to question, am I valuable enough for this world? Am I valuable enough for these people that are taking care of me? And then we hold this fear inside of us. And as we get older, we're trying to work it out. And since we had to try to work it out with our parents or other primary caregivers, once we become an adult, now we have to work it out in our adult relationships, because just because our physical body grew up doesn't mean that our entire emotional body grew up. And what I mean by that is, a part of us fully matures, we get educated, we become more knowledgeable, and we become wiser as adults. But when we're holding on to something from childhood that has not been resolved, that part of us, that emotional energy, the emotional charge attached to that feeling that we're not enough, or we lack somewhere, or we're deficient somewhere, that is like an impact on the emotional body, and it affects the physical body, which means it becomes a burden to the soul, and it goes basically with the soul. So when the rest of us grows up, this part of us remains frozen in time. It gets trapped in the space and time of the event, the occurrence that caused us to question our value. So it means we're still questioning our value, because that part of us is trapped in that energy. So on a vibrational level, this part of us is trying to resolve that. It's trying to find a place to get safe, but at the same time keeps getting drawn to the same energy to confirm our own feelings. So we're constantly in conflict with ourselves and others. So in order to help our relationships be in a more harmonic type of atmosphere, more balanced, more in alignment with the divine truth of who we all are, we have to start with ourselves. And that means stop looking outside for others to validate us, and find ways to validate ourselves, so that we can heal these lower vibrational energies that are carried within us. And this way, we're not attracting that to us. Not only do we attract it on a vibrational level, we look for it because it's a vibrational match. So even if it's really not showing up in our life, we, on an energetic level, try to create it. So if we're familiar with drama growing up, and there's a part of us that's stuck in that energetic field, and then we end up in a relationship and there is no drama, we might actually get bored and we might find a way to create the drama. But we don't realize that we're doing that on a very deep unconscious level. We're doing it because it's taken us back to our familiar place. Also, when we grow up with drama, it's actually a chemical response in the body that's feeling the drama. We're on constant alert because there's always so much drama, always so much energy wrapped around survival consciousness that our bodies start to expect it. And when it doesn't happen, the body is looking for it, which is putting us into action. It's sending signals that this chemical response needs to be moving again. I don't feel that survival energy, which gives me this feeling of fighting for my life, that I'm here, that I'm alive, I'm being noticed, I am on this planet, and I am in a physical body. It gives us that feeling that something's going on in our life. Otherwise, we get bored if we're familiar with all the drama. If we're not familiar with the drama and we are in a nice high vibrational level, if we were lucky enough not to have to deal with all the drama as children, then we usually don't seek out the drama. We pretty much don't care for the drama and we find ways to avoid the drama. But the only way to really get out of it once you're in it is to find a way to validate your own feelings, to validate yourself as a divine consciousness, to get out of that survival mode so that you on an energetic level can relate better to yourself, and then you can relate better to others. And this will bring more harmony and balance in your relationships, no matter what type of relationship is, because it starts with you. You're in conflict with parts of yourself. And what happens is these parts of yourself are in conflict with each other, and they're all trying to get their needs met. They're all trying to find a way to feel safe in a world that sometimes feels very unsafe because others have rejected us or others have not validated us, or we just perceived it that way, because everything is really about perception. And once we truly understand our perceptions and how we could have perceived it, I mean, yes, sometimes parents are outright critical of their children because they're critical of themselves, but you don't know that. You're just a child at the time, and you have this child consciousness that's always looking to feel loved and accepted. But when you have parents that haven't loved and accepted themselves as children, and they grow up in these adult bodies, and their inner child starts acting out, you think it's the adult that's speaking and criticizing you. It's not. It's the child in them that's actually criticizing you because you represent them as a child. And that's what's happening. So once you can understand all that, you can now say, that was not about me. That was about them trying to work out their inner stuff through me. And now I'm trying to work out my inner stuff through others. So it really means we all have to go back to ourselves and remember that we are divine consciousness. We don't have to be in survival mode. We don't have to validate ourselves. We're perfect, beautiful light beings. We're having a human experience. And sometimes that human experience can cause us to doubt our value. And the idea of this journey is to return back to the truth that we are valuable, beautiful, divine consciousness, and nobody can steal that from us. And that all of these earthly experiences are not here to torment us. They are here to teach us, to remind us of the truth about who we are. So I'm going to leave you with that. If you like this video, please hit the like button, please share, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And if you want notifications of other videos, just go ahead and hit that little bell and you'll get notified. So we're wrapping up this series with one more segment, the last one, number 6, and that's going to be on compassion and forgiveness. So I look forward to seeing you all then. Many blessings for a beautiful and wonderful rest of the day or evening.